Hey guys, this is Iamvanguard's podcast here with Chris, Mark, and we have a special guest, Peter Van Allen himself.
Hi there. Nice to meet y'all. I mean, David's known me for a while. Chris has known me for a while. Mark's known me for a while. David's known me the longest, though.
I've known you for a while. That's crazy.
You've known me for years, and David's known me for half of my life.
No, stop saying
I'm
that.
24 now. When I was 21 and I saw him again, he was like, "Oh my God, Peter, I was as old as you are now when we first met."
Yeah.
And I was 12 when we met, and he said that to me when I was 21. So do with that information what you will.
So I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to gloat himself, so I'll gloat for him. So Peter is actually from my perspective, one of the best premium players in our locals at least, and he's really well known throughout the states.
Scratch that, David. The world. Period.
No, I mean like throughout the states.
Yeah. I'm just saying he's one of the best premium players in the world.
Of course. And I just didn't want to say world because that's such a big title, and I didn't want him to feel that pressure. So I'll just say in the states at least.
Hey, Peter, guess what?
What?
Time to feel pressure, buddy.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure he didn't want to gloat. So I wanted to say it for him. But yeah, you can go ahead and continue your intro.
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I was just saying how long I've known y'all and how old you are, David.
Oh, you have to mention the old part, right?
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am pretty old, guys.
Listen, he's an old man now. You know, it's time. He's got to pass it along.
I mean, I passed the torch a long time ago when I quit Vanguard before Overdress.
Yeah,
I can't,
and then you
I
gave
can't
the
top a single event.
Yeah. Hey. Ninth is now a top after
I know.
Starting this
Back
season.
then we didn't have it, so.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, well, everyone knows Chris, everyone knows Mark, and so Peter is a very special guest because one, it's hard to get him on a podcast because his schedule is very tight. And two, he is very knowledgeable in premium, and I've been at a premium for like 4 years. So I thought this was a good topic. And Mark's actually very specialized in premium too. And Chris as well plays premium, and he's been continuing the game. So I think this is a good way to kind of introduce you guys to the premium format. But going on to the schedule, I do want to talk about some of the tournaments that's been going on premium. One thing I've been noticing is that the main decks that I've been seeing, I'm gonna say about 4 decks. So obviously, Peter's favorite deck, Ghidorah.
Favorite.
Favorite.
Peter, you can't not say it's your favorite now, bro. You have to claim it.
And then there's Shiranui. Peter got beat by it twice.
Got beat by it once in this event, and then
yeah, twice. There's Night Rose, which is, I'm gonna say it's a pretty popular deck, but it hasn't been popping as much because of all the Ghidorah decks running around. And then lastly, I'm gonna say Katrina is probably the main 4 decks I've been seeing in premium. Is that correct?
Yeah, those are definitely like the 4 most like prominent. But interesting thing, Nubatama and Mega Colony, even though those are the 2 decks that have the most success this entire season, in terms of they've qualified for Worlds the most, they've gotten the most top 4 finishes, things like that. Like if you look at VG Paradox, it even has those as the numbers. I can even double check because you could go to last 3 months on a premium filter by past 3 months. Yeah, Shiranui has 5 top 8s, 7 top 4s, 2 first places. And then Mega Colony has 4 top 8s, 5 top 4s, and 3 first places. So these are like
both of them being like Peter in the top.
I mean,
4.
Also not to take shine off of Night Rose though. It has the same number of tops total as Ghidorah, but not nearly as many top 4s or first places.
Correct. And the big thing though is that Shiranui and Ghidorah, respectively, do not have that many. They don't have that many actual representatives at events. Like at Philly, Shiranui was not in the top 4 most played clans. Like Nubatama was not, and then Mega Colony at all but 2 events this season. Philly and the Australian BCS that happened, those two were the only ones where it's been in the top 4 most played decks. Meanwhile, Katrina has been the most played played clan at every single event this season, and Night Rose has usually been second or third most played clan. Or sorry, Grand Blue has been. So
yeah,
like Night Rose and Katrina, their numbers are expected based on their play rates.
Yes.
But Gordora and Shiranui have been like significantly outperforming their play rate to an absurd degree.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Even just
yeah.
at Philly too.
Mm-hmm.
Like just looking at the top 32 from Philly, it's kind of absurd the conversion rate of Mega Colony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say
seven Mega Colonies and 3 in top 8 is crazy.
It was 8 in because there was 3 Gridoras, 1 Flagberg.
Flagberg.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, so tell me about your games for the Philly one, because I know that's like the biggest. I mean, I know you made top 4 in San Antonio before, but I think this Philly one is probably a bigger.
Can we say one thing before Peter goes into his monologue about him topping? Peter, would you care to tell the podcast and Chris and David what I said 5 days before BCS Philly? Would you?
Mark said that he had Miggy getting second and Rudy getting third. We don't talk about who he thought was going to get first, but yeah.
I had predicted the Peter getting second and our friend Rudy, who we'll talk about on Spikes later, getting third 5 days before BCS Philly.
Yeah.
And no one believed me, but it turns out I am the Vanguard Nostradamus. Peter, I'll hand it off to you on that note.
Okay.
I think we should pay him to be a psychic.
Yeah, so round 1, I played against Altmile, and the funny thing is, my opponent was someone I played against in Swiss in the X1 bracket last year at New York. So I knocked him into X2. He dropped after I beat him. He was playing Messiah back then, and I decked him out with Mega Colony Battler S because I had 3 copies in drop, so I just went, all right, call it, suck it into Soul of Malagnatus, call another one, Soul Blast out the one I just sucked in, and then I got him to like draw like what was it, like 6 cards, 7 cards, something like that. And so it made him deck out because Messiah draws a lot of cards, and then eventually like it doesn't intend to like, get to a game where it gets milled by 7 cards. But he dropped after I beat him that way in New York last year. I then played against him round 1. Turns out between New York and that day, he did not play another game of Vanguard. So I was his last opponent and his of 2023 and his first opponent of 2024. And when he saw me flip the Mega Colony starter over, he was like, "No morals. You've never changed your ways." And I'm like, wow. Okay. I mean, you're not wrong. But then round 2, I played against actually really cool guy. I've known him for a little bit, not like super well, but I've like interacted with him before, and he actually got top 4 at Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals. Marshall Demorest. He had gotten top 4 at Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals this past year with Yubel Fiendsmith. He was the first Yubel Fiendsmith top in TCG, and he then proceeded to play against me with Angel Geese, and I mean, I'm playing Gridora.
Oh, he played Angel Geese. Okay, that's a pretty bad matchup.
Yeah.
For him.
I had flipped over Harmonix Messiah on first stride, and he was like, "Oh, you can do that." Then none of his other opponents all day that played Gridora did that.
Oh.
So I had beaten him, and then what I did to beat him ended up being something that the other people playing that deck did not do against him. So he did actually beat a Gridora because of that. But yeah, no, he was super nice, really chill guy, fantastic time playing against him. I would love to play against him again. Maybe not on Gridora this time.
He probably doesn't want to play against you, to be honest.
No, like he checked in with me throughout the day. Like he was like, "How you doing, man?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually doing pretty well." He's like, "Oh man, that's awesome." So yeah, it was really chill.
Wow.
Third round, I played against Highlander.
Oh, okay.
And
Bermudas.
Yeah. I played against Highlander. I went second. I had seen the Beatrice sleeves, and I ended up getting I ended up getting duped by the Beatrice sleeves.
Oof.
So that
bro.
ended up being the way that I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. He did not ride down though, and then I actually just killed him on my first ride. I had 2 cocktails in hand. I had a soul crit in hand, and I had a brilliant blister in hand. So I went, all right, 22 to your 3, 23 to your 3, and then he took those, went to 5 because I had aggroed him early, and then I swung with Vanguard, PG'd, and then he did not have enough to block the next 2 swings. So he had to take one, wasn't a heal, so he just lost off of that.
That'll do
it. And actually, he was really cool too. Trying to.
So real quick, right? So one thing I've noticed, and obviously Peter has been kind of teaching me how to play Ghidorah, but I just decide not to keep it because of whatever reason. But what I've noticed, compared to like when I used to play Ghidorah and now, I feel like the playstyle has really changed a lot. I feel like back then I was more like conservative.
You gotta be aggro with this deck.
Yeah, but nowadays I think like you're kind of rushing more before stride is what I've been noticing. So definitely
but also before, I don't think you had necessarily nearly as many aggressive tools as you do now.
Actually, that's very true. And even if they did, like it wasn't as powerful.
Yeah. I do want to get into also the guy's name, Eric. He was really nice. We'd actually met before, and this is going to be an interesting trend, actually, of people I've met before. My round 1 opponent, actually, because of my round 1 opponent being someone I met before, every single person I played that day was someone I have met before.
Interesting.
Which was wild. But yeah, no, Eric, really cool. He's from Long Island. He actually topped last year at New York in Premium. I think he had used Chaos Breaker. So last year, but he used Highlander this year, so the exact opposite. Let's see. Round 4, I played against Charlie, and that was my first loss of the day.
Oh, you ended up playing Charlie? Oh, nice.
Yeah. This was because Charlie was at the table next to me in round 3, and he played against Kevin Cho.
Oh.
So that's definitely a person to have to play against.
I actually heard that name too.
Yeah, Kevin Cho. He got second at. He got second at Worlds. He won Worlds. Charlie lost to him in finals at Worlds in 2022, and then the year before, so the 2019 Worlds, he got, I think it was 3rd. So he's quite a successful player. Part of WCC, really cool guy. I actually played against him in Georgia, and it was a really fun time. He's always just super cool to talk to. Definitely someone that like you'll be like, oh my god, he's such a good player. But then you actually interact with him, and you're like, oh, he's so chill. If I weren't playing Mega Colony against Katrina at like when I played against him, I would have been like, oh man, I'm so happy right now. I'm having a fantastic opponent. Oh man, why am I losing? But because it's Katrina versus Ghidorah, that's pretty much unwinnable.
That's totally fair.
But yeah, so I played against Charlie. I was like trying to rush him. He G-assisted on turn 2 into Klacina. Klacina then got exactly what he needed. He got the Klacina, got what he needed, then rode Riviere next turn. And I'm like trying to push him. Gets not just into Laura, but he gets Laura plus ride down, which means that he gets to do Klacina again next, like after at the end phase. And I'm now like screwed because he has a full board, and it's like some of that stuff is standing. So I'm like, okay, I got to go like Jaggy Devil, do my stuff there. But the momentum was already lost, and it was pretty rough. That's generally like the lose condition for Mega Colony versus Highlander. If they can do if they go first and they go Laura ride down, they probably just win the game. If they get like really good turns anyways, like on their ride down turn, then it's also pretty bad for Mega Colony. It makes it so that it's like a really weird matchup because Mega Colony is a going second deck, but you kind of don't want to go second against this deck sometimes, just depending on your hand, which you can't even see until you've decided if you want to go first or second. So it's a tough one. But yeah, Charlie then also topped that event. Let's see, round 5 I played against Wyatt. Wyatt got 4th at Texas this season in Premium with Shiranui. I played against him. He actually rode Unin, and that actually helped him because he was able to then ride like Heel Guards, V-Nuis, things like that. And because of that, that helped him stay in the game a little longer. But this is where my tech came in. Like the night before the event, I put Peeker in. I was thinking about it 2 days before the event started. I was like, do I want to run Peeker? And the night before the event, I put it in. I had 2 SP copies that I bought Hoof Charlie, and then I had a regular double rare copy. I would have had a 3rd SP copy if Mark.
Oh, that Mark, I got you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chill, bro, chill.
But yeah, I had that. Peeker has resist, which is a big thing. It's a grade 1 with resist, and then I put NPix in as well Friday night before the event. So I had a full border of resist because Mega Colony has boosters that can clear themselves, and because of that, it made it so he could not Mugen Lord. I had 2 protect markers in hand, so he could not Rene. So he had to go Dagoku initially. Then he ran out of Dagoku. He tried to go Mukuro. He ran out of Mukuro. So then he had 2 turns of pretty much just not being able to do anything. And because of that, I ended up winning off of that because I then went 1 turn I went the full resist board. And then on the second to last turn, I went Angel Ladder, so he could not dominate anything anyways, and because I had the protect markers in hand. So he was kind of out of luck there. And then I just won off of that and Antlion for game, which is nice because
Antlion combo.
Yep, because they build a lot of protect markers in Nubatama. So if you play a card that goes, you can't use those, you just win. Let's see. Round 6, I played against my friend April. She actually came from the UK, and she was playing friend of ours from Locals Stars, Katrina build. Yep. Yeah, and she rolled higher. She went second, which was already, I'm like, oh, I have to go first in Mega Colony. And then it got worse because I had no Dark Face. So it was rough there. She rode Rosarium Fairy. Then she rode Rosarium Fairy. So she didn't get to make a token turn 1, but she did get to ride Horticulture Elf. So she did get to make a token still. And then she hit crit turn 2. And then turn 3... I had to just ride Gigradora, lock a column, and then she rode Stan Peony to make the tokens, go Katrina, do the thing, but only with 1 column. And she did Enlargolv, Watermelon, and Rosarium Fairy, so that she could go, okay, Watermelon doesn't even call over, it just goes to drop immediately, and then you go Enlargolv, to get the Watermelon back, Rosarium Fairy, kill the Enlargolv, make a column of tokens, and then hit, she had hit crits, put me to 4 damage off of that, and then I'm like, oh boy, because she went Force 2, and then, so it was 2 turns in a row of crits, and then I had to just, like, hard block the rearguard swing, and then I'm like, okay, I need some kind of counter charge. I did not have Moth. I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. So I'm struggling with my resources. My card draw is nowhere to be seen. I then just am doing my Gridora thing. I'm like, okay, I need to at least farm some cards in hand. I end up with a PG. I at least am able to do like a turn though of like swinging with things, and because of that, I'm like, okay, cool. I can actually do some real offense. And then she hits double defensive, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, my offense is gone now. I'm still able to hit over, but man, it's rough. It's like yeah, it's gonna be a lot harder when she's at that amount of power. And then I still end up clinching it because like she hits another like sequence of like crits, and I'm like, okay, I need to PG guard with everything pretty much. And my card draw is still nowhere to be seen. But like, I mean, that just is a testament to how bad that matchup is for Katrina, in that like you can hit all the crits in the world, you can hit double defensives, and you can do the correct plays, but like even if like you make them go first as well, which they don't want to do, but it's still not enough. That's only enough to make it close, not enough to actually win the matchup. And that's like the big thing as to why I did not take Katrina or Granblue, for that matter, to any BCSs this season, is because I'm like, if I want a deck that has bad matchups, I want those bad matchups to not be like you can't play the game bad, but they're like you will lose more times than you win bad.
Agreed.
Like I would prefer a you lose more times than you win kind of bad matchup over a you can't play the game bad. Yeah. Like for example, like Granblue versus Shiranui is like you can't play the game bad. Granblue versus Narukami is also like that. And then Gridora versus Neonectar and Granblue is also that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those kinds of like that was like sort of my thought process, and playing that game sort of helped me like sort of reaffirm that, going, okay, I made the right choice here. And then round 7, I played against my friend Lewis, and it was really unfortunate because we're both X1 and we're both low seedings in the X1. So whoever loses is definitely not making it in. So he's playing Granblue, which is unfortunate for him.
Yep.
Very fortunate for me, because I mean, it's one of those really bad matchups. He goes like, okay, I'm going to try and go for Bad Bounty. It's just not enough. He can't win it. So that ends up closing relatively quickly because it's one of those matchups and the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
So I made it in. Then in top 32, after I passed, top 32, I played against William Garcia from Kingslayer. We played a mirror. I went second. And fun thing about that mirror, going second is way better because you don't necessarily, like, it's way easier to grade 2 game going second because you are built in having more cards in hand. And you do not want to be the one that rides up first in the Gridora mirror, because that means you are never doing a more than 3 attack turn that entire game. And that means you will be the first one that has to re-ride. So usually you want to play it out, but he didn't have very many ways to do that, especially because he had to G-assist early game. And so that gave me good knowledge of his hand and made it so I'm like, okay, well, I can just rush him, and then he'll either have to use his heal guards, which are grade 3s in hand, or I get to get a lot of damage in and make it so it's a pretty quick game. And that's exactly what happened. It ended up being a quick game. Peeker actually came up here as well, because Peeker is not once per turn on its ability of your Vanguard gains 2k as long as when it's attacked, it is 11k or lower. So your Vanguard loses 10k, gains 2, gains 2, gains 2. And so that ended up being really nice. And because it has resist, you can actually leave it standing, and then suddenly Brilliant Blister's offline for the turn. You can't bounce it back, which is nice. But yeah, it ended after like 2 strides. It was pretty bad. He had to G-assist and he had to go first, and I have significantly more experience in that matchup. So like the big thing is sort of it tests your grinding ability, and you have to have a lot of practice in that matchup, like in the mirror. Then top 16, I played against Joseph Alfano.
Oh, I know Alfano.
Yes, he was playing CrestJet.
Did you challenge him to a money match?
I wish, because what is it? He whiffed Crest, which pretty much makes that unwinnable for CrestJet, because
no Crest, no win.
yeah, like even if he did hit Crest, he would not have been able to win. He did hit. What is it? He was actually the only time I hit OT all game, and that was turn 2. He rides up, swing. I hit defensive OT. That was the only swing he had that turn. So it effectively was just a nothing happens turn. So it was like the least impactful defensive OT humanly possible. I never went to 4 damage that entire game. I stayed at 3. I'm like, okay, I want to stay at 3 against CrestJet, because then if I no guard the Vanguard when it's like the Sentinel restrict, I'm not worried. And so that ended up being what happened. I actually just had I just had enough to block anyways, so I just did it, and the game ended after like one or two strides.
Yeah,
then in top
that
8,
matchup is kind of a given.
Yeah, it's a really bad matchup for CrestJet, and it only gets worse if you can't ride Crest.
Yeah.
Then in top 8, I played against Antonio.
Yep.
And early game, like I got to go second, and we actually played in Swiss at Sacramento, and I actually won that one as well. Just off of outgrade 2 gaming him and like building up that momentum. But I go second this time again, and I'm building a huge momentum. Then he swings at my Vanguard. Like he rides up, goes Jaggy Devil, the History Collection stride, swings with Vanguard, hits heal OT. So he goes down to he goes from 4 to 2, and then I go from 1 to 3. So what was a huge damage lead ended up becoming the exact opposite. And I'm just like, oh god. He healed like 4 times that game.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, oh my god. And he almost won. That was the closest a Mega Colony mirror has ever been, except for the time where I lost to Colin because he hit OT on the OT to pass to kill me. But so he would have won. Like it went to overtime because it was like 8 turns per player. It was really long. We went through all Gridoras plus another stride each.
Oh yeah, that is long.
Yeah, it was really long. It was like turn 8 or 9 per player. I had 4 damage, he had 5 damage, and he has 4 cards in deck on his Vanguard. So he now has 4 cards in deck. Immediately swings with Antlion and does the ability. So he's at 22. I guard with Cocktail. He lets me draw, so I go from 10 to 15.
And front row gets 5, right?
Yep. So I'm a 15 base with a 5k guard. So I'm at 20. I guard with the card I draw and end picks. So now I'm at 25. He goes first check blank, second check blank. I'm at 15 now, so his other rear guard cannot hit me. He swings at the Hell Demise. I block with a grade 1. The Hell Demise was boosted by a grade 1, so it was a 20. I block the 20 with a 10. Pass back to me. It is turn 3. Or sorry, no, that was turn 3. So even if there was one more turn of extra time, it would have still been my game. And because of that, he loses due to damage calculation. Either way, I would have won by deck out anyways, but
it was still a close game, is what you're saying.
Yeah. The thing is, he had 1 face-up damage. If he had simply done Malignantis suck a rearguard in, he would have won the game.
But that's like an experience thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but like he also got ahead of himself on that. It was an insane game. And like the difference between him at Sacramento versus him at Philly was night and day. It was like incredible to see someone improve that much. And honestly, I was really impressed. And then in top 4, I played against Rudy. I went second.
And
this is a going second deck. Too. You want to go second. He did not ride grade 3 on turn 3. He had grade 3s, but he did not have the right one for it. And so because of that,
I'm assuming.
Yeah, he tried to grade 2 game me for a turn, and then I just went, all right, ride Darkface, Jaggy Devil, stun his entire board because I used Darkface and Jaggy Devil to stun 2 rearguards each. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, well, good luck. I won on, I think it was either the first or second Gridora turn. I think it was the first Gridora turn, actually.
I think it was the first one. I was watching that game.
Yeah, so it was a relatively quick game. And, I mean, Spike Brothers versus Mega Colony is one of those matchups where you have like 1 or 2 chances to win the game. After that, you're done. And
there are a number of people I can count on one hand that play Spike Brothers that I would say like could consistently like make that matchup not like 90-10.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, so no offense, like Rudy's a really good player, but for me, and Gabe, there's one player that I would admit is the best Spike player. I think he's retired now, but his
Yeah,
name
are
was
you talking about Living Proof?
yes, Living Proof was absolutely the best Spike Brother player no matter what. I've seen that
Uh,
guy play. I've seen that guy top. He's crazy.
Yeah, no. He's very busy right now being the father of two, so
But
you
he
know.
was probably the most impressive player.
He also
with Spikes.
said, I think, like, I don't want to say this was like a couple years ago, but I think it was closer to like a year ago where he was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I just
Yep.
like being a dad. Like, he doesn't like playing Vanguard, he just likes being a dad. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I can show my kids that I was good at this game at one point, but I don't
Yeah.
care to play it anymore. So it's
Yeah.
like, that's fair.
No, and
Well,
that's great.
it was
I'm
a
happy for him.
it was a combination of that, and also he said like he accomplished what he wanted to with the game,
Yeah.
which was he proved Spike Brothers is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
Mhm.
like that was the biggest goal for him, and he did that. So yeah, he pretty much just won. Like he
Yeah.
he proved the deck is good.
Life.
He's a proud father of two.
Yeah.
He's got a loving family. Like that's about as good as it gets.
But I was gonna say, how's your last game? Because I know you were. Well, I mean, I watched it, but there's some people that probably didn't watch that game. How did you?
Oh,
feel?
it did not go well for me.
I looked
Hey,
away
hey,
when that was happening.
You
I was
Yeah,
had
it
like,
was a
you
very
had
fast
a good
finals.
run. I mean,
Uh,
you were shy of one game, and unfortunately, you couldn't win the first place.
Yeah, but yeah, so like I lost that one pretty quickly. Mike's a really cool guy, and luckily Rudy won. So
So you made third, and
What
you
do you
had the
mean,
vote.
luckily? I predicted it. It wasn't luck.
well, luckily considering his opponent hit OT defensively,
Yeah.
True.
and he still won against her. So yeah. Also, speaking of which, Rudy's opponent in the match for third, she got
Yeah.
second the day before.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
went on a hell of a run, and apparently she'd been telling somebody, I think it was our buddy Frankie, that she doesn't really have anyone to play premium with at their locals.
Yeah, no.
The only
But
person that- her and her boyfriend are like the only people that play premium.
yeah, and then her boyfriend was like, yeah, no, she would prefer to play in premium because she likes that more. The reason she plays standard is because they're stride decks. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
overall,
this is
it
all
seems
going
like
on. I wanna bring up the whole. So Peter lost his finals game so quickly. The rest of us, me specifically, and our buddy Jason included, were like freaking out over our buddy Rudy's game because I was like, oh my god, bro, like I need Rudy to win. And then they were like, oh, the girl got second place in standard yesterday, so she might give up on standard she might give up on premium and just take the standard invite. I was like, oh my god, thank God. And then someone was like, no, she like prefers premium to standard. She just doesn't get to play it. And I'm like, no. And then they're like, to not put other stuff in there, but basically the person who got fourth on standard would have qualified for Worlds, and Rudy wouldn't have if she got to choose. And I did not want Rudy to not qualify for Worlds. I really wanted Rudy to qualify for Worlds. So we're like freaking out the whole time. And I'm literally like, for those of you who have never been to a BCS before that might be listening, when there is a top cut, there is usually a border of tables they make so that people can't be close enough to the player so that their facial expressions or their mannerisms might influence the way the games go. So we have to stand a good probably 30 feet away when it comes down to top four. So I get my phone and I zoom in to like the 15 times zoom to look at both of their hands and be like, okay, all right, she's got like 2 protect markers, she's got a PG, she's got a crit, she's got Elementaria. I'm like, okay, all right, I think Rudy's got this. I think he's got this. Because he like started his galley turn with like 7 more attacks or something. And she's just like, all right, yeah, I'll take it. I saw that 6 damage hit. I was like, let's go! Let's go! Oh my god! We're all freaking out. Me and our buddy Frankie, we're both pretty big guys. We somehow lifted each other up at the same time. We're like giving each other hugs, bro. We're all so happy. We're all way more happy for Rudy to qualify than for Peter, bro. like, no offense to Peter.
That's kind of rude.
No. So not to be rude, but we all expected it from Peter. Like we all knew that he was gonna qualify at some point this season, right? But Rudy had never gotten to qualify before.
I know, this is nice.
So for him, right, that was like we were all so happy and we all had gone.
So actually, is Rudy actually gonna go?
Rudy is going to Worlds.
Okay, so he's gonna just stay at third place and take the qualifier, or is he trying to go to other ones and try to get first place and get a?
I mean, he might try to get first place in standard or premium, but that's all he's not. He honestly, I think from what I understand, he's only going to one more BCS, and I think it's kind of like a, if I do better, I do better. If I don't type of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was pretty hype, man. We were all really excited for him, and when we're looking at this top 32 of all these decks, and honestly, like outside of Mega Colony, and obviously, like I'm not like some high level player, but
actually,
there is a lot of decks here that I'm not gonna say are soft to spikes, but I think that like the problem is that most people, because Gridora has been so prominent for so long, people truly forgot like how powerful spikes are.
Yeah.
If you don't know the matchup, or if you haven't played against it enough to know when to give them a damage, when to guard, what the full combo does, what the interaction points of the combo are. So I think that that's a huge part. And not to say that Rudy didn't get there off of player skill, but he also admittedly said that he ran into one Gridora all day, and it was Peter. So that certainly helped. Hitting this insane like high roll in terms of matchups for his run certainly helped him in that regard.
So I was gonna say this might be a good cutting point though, because I know our main topic's gonna go really long. So I would like to slowly.
I did want to build on. I wanted to build on one thing though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
I love though, Mark, that you mentioned that there are decks that are maybe soft into Spike Brothers. That is exactly part of why I think like premium is a lot more open than it is normally, because a lot of the top decks right now are kind of slow.
Yeah.
Like they have higher turn counts, and that has allowed for so many decks to become viable in this format. Like, because Granblue, while theoretically the best deck, because it's like theoretically the best deck if you like play it perfectly and all that stuff, it has a turn 4 that does literally nothing to advance the game state, pretty much. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I swing for like 26, I swing with a Vanguard, I swing with a 24, things like
they have
that.
To play the one that like mills cards, right? I believe.
Yes, Big Obadiah. So because of that, that means that a bunch of decks get a free turn to just do something.
Right.
Yeah.
And Spike Brothers, if you give them one turn,
they
will use it.
Yeah. That's honestly, that was when I first got into premium.
Yeah, actually.
To kind of get in
like that, yeah.
To just kind of get into the main topic being like the differences between premium and standard. I think that premium specifically, kind of to add on to what Peter's saying, it really rewards you for playing your deck repeatedly over and over and over again, and like just learning your deck and learning the full expression of how your deck functions. Because like when I first started playing premium, and like I don't remember if Peter remembers this, but it's been a long time since I started playing premium. And I started playing premium when D standard kind of started, right when we had Order Colony. And I was playing like Big Belly at the time, because generally I've just played Great Nature like since I started playing Vanguard, and like, whenever BTO 6 I think is when I first started playing the clan. Or BTO 7, one of the two.
BTO 7.
Yeah. And I think that like now, right, at that point, I didn't know the full interactions of like all the Great Nature cards, and like, but like it's been over 2 years since then, and like the full interactions of like 90% of the Stoicheia Great Nature card pool as it pertains to specifically like the Big Belly deck, because I'm going to be honest, most of the lottery mechanics in that clan are garbage and you shouldn't even consider them. Like I know in my head. And even at that point, generally the same thing for spikes, because I took a break from playing Great Nature for like a good year, where all I did was play Spike Brothers from like probably September of 2022 to like, what was it? When did History Collection come out? July of last year, I think.
Yes, July of last year.
Yeah, so like I was playing spikes for a very long time. So like that deck specifically, like I can't tell you how many times I like played against someone when I went to BSF Georgia, and I was still relatively I'll say uninformed on how premium functioned. I played a bunch of games against like Peter and our buddy Christian and our friend Yafet. But like even then, because I just played Spike so much, like I went 5-2 at that event, and like one of the games was like actually my fault because I just like soul blasted one for Dudley Lucifer to countercharge when I didn't need to countercharge, and it like cost me the soul for Galley, so I couldn't extend on like the 12 attacks or whatever. And the other one, I just played against Mill Bugs, and the Bugs player milled all my grade 3s by the third turn of the game, so I couldn't do anything. So I was like, all right, bro, I guess I'm just dead. Like, like I actually just died. It was the stupidest thing ever, bro. And it was so frustrating. But like, like playing your deck, I'm not gonna say like choose a clan and like stick with it forever, but like I think that in standard, I think because standard generally is like has fundamental things that each deck does generally. I think that deck hopping is fine. But I think in premium specifically, regardless of what deck you pick, I think you should stick with it for at least a considerable amount of time, just so you can understand the base interactions of the clan. Not just because, right, it's going to help you play the clan better, but because when you switch to a different deck, you're also going to know fundamentally what the best interaction points are, when you should play into those interactions, when you should not play into them, and just how to play against that deck in general. And I think that people often, when they're new to premium, make that mistake where they're like, all right, well, I played, Shiranui in standards, I'll play it in premium. They don't like how it plays. A week later, they're like, all right, I'm going to buy Aqua Force. Then they sell it a week later, and then they're like, I'm going to buy Mega Colony. And they sell it a week later without ever really getting to play the deck because they play one game, and they're like, I don't like it. It's not fun. It's like, take more time. Because the other thing about premium is right now, premium is cheaper than standard. So, like, take your time. Premium is cheaper than standard right now.
It is.
I've seen Katrina decks go for like $800.
Yeah, but
that's like Katrina specifically.
We've also seen Odium decks go for that much money. Like it's not.
We've seen Rezael.
Okay.
Like, what's the price on Nilbaris right now? What's the price on like Vita itself is like what, like 12 a piece?
Well, I wouldn't see. That's what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't say cheaper. I would say the top tier decks are still equal value, but I think the lower decks are fairly cheaper.
I don't even agree with that.
The spikes are cheaper. Like spikes are like $100 or less.
The price of a playset of Gridora is cheaper than the price of a like so like a playset of Gridora is pretty much most of the money in a Gridora deck. You would know, you bought one yourself, and that's cheaper.
I sold one recently for that.
Yeah.
That's cheaper than Odium. It's cheaper than Rezael right now. It's like, oh my god, Rezael.
Yeah,
like,
you also have to remember, here's the thing, is that with standard, there's staples. So those staples are super expensive. Those like energy cyclers, the dual nation cards, which have crept their way into premium now as well.
Yeah, that's where those are usually the most expensive cards in premium now as well. The dual nation cards from standard.
When you look at Peter's deck specifically, I think the most expensive card in your deck, if I'm not mistaken, outside of your, blinged out World Sanctitude and World's Messiah, is all right. Well, you have FR, Aspronia, and Sephiroth, so like this.
Even regular is like $80 though.
Regulars are like $80, yeah. Like,
which is more expensive than Gridora.
Yeah. Like, I think that like also calling it peak fiction is kind of crazy, Peter.
I called it peak fiction because of Peaker.
Oh, I hate you so much. Anyways, I think that like because premium is cheaper, I think people often get in their heads like, oh, I can like sell a deck and buy a new one like super quick.
It's harder to sell stuff in.
First of all, it's harder to sell stuff for premium because people are intimidated by it for some reason. But premium, there's so much more time to like really sink your teeth into the clan and like learn the interactions. Like, for example, right? Chris and I have both played DI for a while. Chris, like, for a longer extended period of time than me. But like, he and I both have I don't know how big the box is for Chris, but I have a gigantic box of just almost every like playable DI card that I've ever seen, like from Cardfight Vanguard's printing in English. It's just in a box. So like if I decide that like I want to try a card out, I can just grab a couple of them in my box and just put them in the deck. Like in standard, it doesn't, because we've only been playing in this format for like 3 years, we don't have that ability yet.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, because of the way the market works in standard specifically and not in premium, if someone finds out an interaction like that in standard, like if there's a new, for example, right, a new Unica came out. Well, Bifron just shot up from $6 to what is it, $22 now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Should be in the
glad to have an
20s.
I'm glad to have an SR now.
Oh, I hate you. But like the things like that, like they happen sometimes in premium, but more often than not, it's just like an old bulk common. Like even when Eve Mill and oh my goodness, what was the other?
Willista Mill.
Willista Mill, like Darling Duo only got up to like $8. That was it, and that's a common from like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Like
it is from 10 years ago.
When cards spike like that in premium, the spike is a lot. It might be a higher spike in terms of percentage wise, but price wise, it's still far lower than standard.
Yeah.
So like, and I think another thing that people are afraid of, and I think this might just be like a quality of life change, which I for one think it's great, but like ride lines in standard have kind of spoiled players. So like, no, mind you, this isn't something that I hear often, but I can't speak for me or for Peter or Chris, but like I remember when I started playing premium again, I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like I gotta worry about like mulliganing and making sure I have a 2 and a 3. Like, oh man, standard is so nice. I just card a card from my hand every turn, never have to worry about G assisting, none of that. Like going second, who cares? Like I'll draw a card. Like in premium, you have to, your game plan in premium starts from before you mulligan. And I think in standard, your game plan starts after your mulligan scheme.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a big difference.
This is actually facts, from my opinion as well.
That's just my take on it, though. But I also think that, like, when you get good at premium, it feels, or when you get better at premium specifically, it's a lot more rewarding than getting better at standard.
Yeah. Because I think, well, I'll let you finish.
I just think that like when I've played like a good premium game, like I'm trying to figure out a way to compare this, right? It's like when you're done playing a good standard game, you're like, oh man, that was like a really, really good like meal at like Waffle House with the homies. When you're done playing a good premium game, you're like, oh my god, that was like the best like steak dinner I've ever had at like a Ruth's Chris with like extra au jus on my steak and like, and it's like a fine wine, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just how it feels like to me. Or like whenever I don't know if any of you have ever done this, because I think we all played sports at one point, but like when you're done with like when you hit that point where your body's like, all right, I'm like dead, I'm dying, and you're like, nah, like screw this, like we got another gear. Like when you play a good premium game, it feels like the entire game you're just like in that other gear. And then when you're done with that game, you just like come down from the high of being in the other gear. It is like such a crazy feeling, bro. Mm-hmm. And like I feel like standard, like you don't have that. And that just might be my opinion on it, but like that post premium, like that post premium clarity is crazy, bro. Like it's like another
premium
level,
clarity.
You know what I mean?
So, well, as the host, I usually tend not to take sides, right? So yeah. I guess the best way to express it, because I've just now took a little bit of dip into premium, right? After like the whole BCS and now actually picking up a non-meta deck, so I have to learn from scratch. Because me and Chris were like playing like 4 hours of premium because I wanted to relearn how to play, and it was actually fun. I agree. Playing premium was really fun, right? But I guess like now I think the better way is to compare pros and cons, from my opinion. I think if I go to standard first, because that's going to be very simple. I think standard is, how should I put it? Like it's rewarding because I think what Mark said is you don't have to like rethink about like, your mulligans or whatever now, right? Because your mulligans in standard very simple. I think like winning in standard is a little bit simpler than premium. Because I feel, me personally, I use less brain power in standard versus premium. And it's a format where OT kind of dominates. So if you hit the OT, that basically almost changes the outcome of the game completely. So I would say standard is more rewarding for, people that want to have fun. It's a very casual format, is how I see it.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm gonna go on. For premium, I feel like that it's a very difficult format for people that are casual, right? Because that's how I felt. But I think it's very rewarding, as Mark said, is if you're one of those players that do dedicate time to premium and learn how to play, it's very rewarding to win, is how I feel. Because you actually were spending time or not spending time, but you learned the matchup. You know how to outplay your opponent. And of course, sometimes it is matchup related. Like, if you're playing, I don't know, a Katrina into Ghidorah. I mean, it's a very difficult game. And you can do your best to outplay the player, but, there's a certain cap. But I would say it's still more rewarding to win that premium game versus, like, if it was a standard game. So there's a pros and cons to each format, is how I feel.
Yeah, just to add on to what you said, regardless of like win or like if you play a good game of premium, I feel like win or lose at that point doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like if you played,
if there's a trophy on the line.
No. So like I've played good games of premium against like Peter, and I lost, right? Because I think I've beaten Peter one time. I got very lucky. But like I didn't feel bad because I was like in my head I was like, God damn, bro, that was a good fucking game. Like I didn't care if I lost.
Peter's on steroids, but
yeah, but like regardless of who if I play a good game at premium, regardless of who it's against, bro, I'm like, yeah, that was a good game. Like I'm really like happy with that. Like to me that part is like I don't care. Like win or lose, if it's a good game of premium with like no crazy like OT shenanigans, like I think that like generally if you asked like 100 premium players, like would you rather like how bad do you feel after like losing a really good game of premium? They'd be like, it's whatever, bro. It was a great game. It was a great game. So, but I'm gonna hand the floor off to Peter though, because I know he had something he wanted to say.
One of the other things though, like I love that you also mentioned like, aside from like your opponent OTing, I found that like, I mean, several of my opponents hit OT at in premium actually at Philly, and like I still won all the games where my opponents hit OT.
Yeah, and because you have ways out.
Yes, exactly. And
I think that's like, the biggest difference between standard and premium. Yeah, I agree.
Like big thing is defensive options, and going second is like a real thing in premium right now. Like obviously there's a lot of good decks that really want to go first. You get your tempo advantage, you get your markers first, things like that. And then you can get your markers when your opponent's still at grade 2 and do all of that stuff. But there's a lot of decks that have been going second oriented recently. Like Mega Colony is one of them. There's builds of Granblue and Katrina that are actually dedicated to going second because they expect their opponent to go first. So it's like, if I win dice roll, I'll choose second. If I lose dice roll, they'll probably choose first anyways. So
yeah,
like it really has balanced the ability to go first or second. And I think that's like it's really good because like there is definitely some games where going first is worse. Like a lot of Bandai games, going first is terrible. In Dragon Ball and One Piece, where it's like, like I mean, in Dragon Ball, you get like you going second was so overpowered that they had to buff going first in like 2 different ways.
Yeah.
Like I think premium has hit like the perfect middle ground of going first and going second feeling good, because I mean in standard right now going first feels way better than going second.
100%.
Yeah. That first Persona ride is
I mean it's also not just that, like, but I think this was a topic that we had prior, but right now Vanguard is a turn 4 format. So basically turn 4 is like when their stuff goes up, like Blankdemeyer, Odium, etc. Like those decks go off on turn 4. So basically going first gives you the first turn 4 to go off. So I think that's that's the reason why standard is a huge go first meta.
Another thing though is that in Premium there are so many decks that do such drastically different things. Standard has like damage deny with sacrifice glass, but that's like for the most part pretty much it, and that's not even a like relevant deck. That's like
shout out to Batman. Shout out to Damage Deny Batman.
Damage Deny Batman is Mystery Flare Turbo, but for Standard, and it's like a more extreme version of Mystery Flare Turbo. You either win harder or you lose harder than Mystery Flare Turbo did. But yeah, like you can do a lot. Like there's a lot more stuff you can do in Premium right now. In that, like, if there's something you want to try, there's probably a deck you can make around it. Like Ashura Kaiser Mill was a not terrible pick during Ripple format, specifically because you could deck them out after they got like a billion Excel circles.
God.
Oh no, during like a 2022 Ripple format where you get like
a different Ripple format.
Okay. 2022 Ripple format was another.
They had another Ripple format.
Yeah, because they made a Genovius with an Excel circle, with an Excel marker. So you just keep riding it, and it had an ability to soul last as well. So you could keep putting it back because Nikki could soul charge and put it back in to deck. Then you search it again with
another format. Oh god.
Yeah. So Ripple and Mystery Flare Turbo were like the best decks in that format.
I remember that format. It was
yeah, it was something.
I remember watching a game. I think it was a game that you played with someone over remote fight, and I was just like, "Nah, bro, I'm not going to New York now." like
no, Ripples were banned by then.
Yeah. But I was planning on going to New York.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that game, and I was like, no, you know what? I don't think I'm good enough to play in the BCS yet. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to save my money, bro.
But, so, like, even during that, where there's, like, it's a very obvious, like, I think Mystery Flare was, like, truly the better deck, but, like, it was, like, there were two decks that were so much better than everything else, or, like, a lot of things became irrelevant because they got pushed out due to sheer power level. But there were other decks that became relevant specifically because of that. Narukami because of Ripple format, or because of Ripples, and Mystery Flare. It was like, okay, if the Mystery Flare doesn't get the turn skip, they probably have cards in bind, which means you go crazy with Stunverse. Then that was like the one that most people did, but there were also Fenrir and like Fenrir Mill and Ashura Kaiser Mill were actually also decks that people were playing in those events because it's like, okay, well, you turbo through your deck, you like dig like crazy, and now you have like 13 cards left in your deck, and you have a huge board. I'm gonna call Melissa, and now, you have 13 rear guards. You have 0 cards in deck now, and so, like, it was really cool to see that format like evolve, and just seeing like the level of like decks. Meanwhile, there's like these decks that are way worse that are specifically tailor-made to win this matchup and nothing else. And because of that, I felt like even when it was like the really toxic formats, you get to see the real spice of like, okay, I'm not playing the best deck, I'm playing something made to beat it specifically.
Yeah, like
and I hope
the counter decks to the meta.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty normal. The anti-meta format is pretty normal for a card game to show up. So
yes, and Premium shines with its anti-meta because a lot of the time being proficient means that you can still win those other matchups pretty effectively. I mean, like I played a Mega Colony build that was designed specifically to be anti-meta during a season where people thought that deck was terrible. I played it, and I topped both BSFs I went to with that deck. It was specifically designed to beat any deck that rides down because it punishes you by cradling 2 cards and then using a card that was effectively 4-bit-all. And so because of that, it's like, okay, well, I get to go crazy right now and go like +2 because it also kills the thing that's cradled. And then I'm just going to swing at you really, really hard, and you can't heal guard now because you rode down. And that actually was a big contributor to my success that season. And you see that every season. Every time there's a good deck, there is an actual anti-meta pick that is specifically designed to beat it.
What's the anti-meta for this season, do you think?
For this season, specifically because Granblue and Katrina were like the meta. I mean, they've consistently been the most successful decks this entire season. You'll see things like, for example, Mega Colony has been the most successful of anti-meta, even though it's meta itself. It was specifically like
to counter those decks, yeah.
Yes, and
yeah,
but then you'll see like a lot of the like top meta right now has that like cycle where it's like, okay, this beats this, this beats this, this beats this, but then there's these other things that also
like Nova
like,
Grapplers, Aquaforce,
yeah,
that counters like certain decks.
Right, like Nova Grappler and like Narukami have pretty good Mega Colony matchups. For example, like if you play Granblue into like there are specific Nubatama builds that are designed to beat Granblue, and they're actually pretty good. And like so you'll see people change a meta deck to turn it into that, or Geese is a perfect example of an anti-meta deck right now. It has never been popular. It's always like there's one or two guys playing at an event, or I guess at Philly, it's probably like more like 8 maybe.
Yeah.
But it has a pretty good Nubatama matchup. It has a because the moment you get to go on Geese, they're not doing anything. It has a pretty good matchup into Granblue, and it has a pretty good matchup into Katrina, especially because most Katrina players have never played against a Geese in their entire life, so they don't know the exact play you need to do to win that matchup. And so because of that, this is Geese is the exact example I want to talk about of like a deck that is anti-meta to its core, and has been succeeding pretty well. Like it is a deck that no one plays. It has never broken into the top 4 most played decks of any event. It has a terrible meta matchup too. It is like an unwinnable Mega Colony matchup, but because that deck also is not particularly popular but does well, it has been topping almost every event this entire season. So like that's the big like dark horse of this entire season. It hasn't made any finals, but it did make a top 4. Let me look to see actually.
It made top one in the top 16, I believe, when I was looking.
Yes, there was. Yeah. It got 4th at Austria.
Yep.
Let's see here. This entire season it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tops, which is a lot for a deck that is seen basically no play, and that's not counting. Actually, that is counting. What is? Oh no, sorry, 8 tops, but one of them is a top 32 top. I think it is. Yeah. So 8 tops with 2 of them being top 32, 1 being top 16, and the rest being top 8 or better. So it is like a consistently like pretty good deck. It has like good matchups into a lot of the meta, and it's preying on unfamiliarity. So it's like the exact example of like anti-meta, where like in standard right now, you're not seeing very many decks that are like, oh, it's tailor-made to beat the best deck right now. Like the closest like Impaldio, and that has barely any tops this season.
Yeah, actually, I actually thought that was surprising, but that's for a different day.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest things why I feel, me personally, from my point of view, that people play standard versus premium is not just because of the simpleness to the format. I also think it has some relationship to the pricing and the support that it gets.
Yes, I agree with that. The premium pricing is getting top 4 prize cards is nice, but like I do like that they are doing prize cards for top 4. However, come on, man, just give us a Guardian Shield or something for getting top 32 or top 16. Like, something that is actually unique and is not just an extra promo pack. Even though every time I've gotten the extra promo pack,
cut prize was a little doo-doo from my opinion. I'm just like, another pack? It could have been a special card or something.
I will say, every time I've pulled from my top cut extra pack, it has been a card that is $100 or more. So
I mean that could be just coincidence.
Yeah, but you're a luck sack, bro. You're a luck sack. There's a difference, bro.
Man,
us casual, members of a nah, David, you're in that same tax bracket. Don't come to me like that, bro.
I have not pulled a single thing I need.
Oh, I don't pull promos for things I need. I pull promos for money because I'm poor.
I don't get anything good.
You and I are not the same.
Dang, David, that's only you. That's only you.
Damn. Anyways, yeah, I would say that I think the prizing is one of the biggest downfall into the format. Like I feel like that if they supported better in premium format, I feel like a lot more people would hop onto premium.
Yes, I agree with that. Like, I mean, if they just made it like a Guardian Shield, like, then immediately.
Oh my god, a Guardian
format,
Shield? Oh!
The format being simple is, I think it's only partial of it. I think a lot of it has to do with the pricing, from my opinion at least.
You know what I really think would be more special? And maybe this is should be a Worlds thing more than a premium thing. But I think that, like, for premium, I feel like the prize shouldn't be immediate. But, like, for example, right? Peter qualified with Mega Colony. So
he's not allowed to play
how about
ever again.
No. How about you wait a few weeks and Bushiroad mails you a special printed copy of the Mega Colony starter? You know what I mean? Like, that might have to be like a Worlds thing, because like Bushiroad really ain't got it like that. Well, Bushiroad does have it like that, but
they got New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Like they got New Japan and Stardom. They got it like that. You know what I mean? But
that would be nice though. That would be kind of special, and I think that would be a motivation for me to, like, I mean, not me, but like anyone else to participate in Worlds and Premium. Yeah, that would be really nice. I would say that would be a very good prize for Bushiroad.
Even them, bro, bring back clan leader cards, bro. Do something like that.
Yeah, like
those were really cool.
Just something that is actually unique specifically to topping. Like Standard got it. Like I think Premium getting that would be incredible for it, just to, like, you know, make it so it feels special. You have something you can like put in a case, or I mean, if you're one of those kinds of people, grade it. You know, grade your card that's like your prize card that you got specifically for topping.
Yeah, even then, like maybe just like we don't have energy in Premium, but even having like an energy card that says like Philadelphia BCS 2024-2025 top 4.
Honestly, they could have given energy markers in Premium, and people would have played Premium for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in possession of a lot of stuff if they gave me like a lot of money. If and my bank account would look a lot prettier right now if they.
Man, shut up, bro! You hold trust fund. I don't want to hear it.
But yeah, no, like the like I think we can all agree, Premium getting better prize support just for like. Because like I think the prize support for like top 4 and top 8 is like it's pretty much the same as standards, but like making the top 16/top 32 prize support more in line with standards.
I also don't like the thing I don't like about Premium's prize support cards specifically. It's always like a card from one clan, bro. Like Standard is like, hey yo, here's Red OT, but in Stoicheia. Here's Red OT, but in Dragon Empire.
For BSF season, they did do like Blue actual OTs.
Yeah.
Which no, it was Blue OT. Red OT was standard.
Blue OT was tri format.
Yeah, tri format. But like even then, like I think part of that is they want to make the Worlds promo for Premium always a generic card. Yeah. And there hasn't really been that many like ubiquitous Premium generic cards this past year. That's not like as ubiquitous of a card though, is what I mean. Like like 2022 and 2023 were Sanctitude and Harmonix Messiah.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
Those are cards that are in literally every deck. So there's not really another card that's in literally every deck. So it's going to be hard to live up to how fantastic the entry prizes were for these past 2 years.
Yeah.
I do think that like Guardian Shield,
like, you know, a Guardian ticket that's like exclusive for regional top or something. I think that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that Guardian Shield will probably because of what it was for like last year where it was like a Harmonix Messiah. If they made the 2023 or 2024/2025 one a Guardian Shield to go alongside it, that would be cool. And I would not be surprised, but alternatively, I wouldn't be surprised if we got like Regalis pieces as all the like Worlds promos.
That would be cool.
For example, like Forbidal and Angel Ladder, or like Angel Ladder and like it could be. I think Angel Ladder is like a go-to one because it's like, you know, kind of built to be the overpowered one in the first place, but like, pick one of the other big ones from this year, like Union the Sky or Caliburn.
Yeah.
Those two would also be ones that I could absolutely see being Worlds prize cards, like entry promos for Worlds.
Yeah, I think that would add a lot more motivation for people to, well, one, obviously top in whatever format, but that would definitely have more people flooding into premium because they want a different opportunity to jump into premium. Even though premium is actually harder to top than standard, from my opinion.
I actually think that it's the opposite. I think
I mean, as a new player, I'm not saying as
that's fair.
Someone that's been playing for years.
I think it's like as the further you progress as a player, the comparatively easier premium gets to top. Meanwhile, the standard kind of stays mostly the same once you hit a certain point.
Standard's a dice roll.
Yeah, in terms of how consistently you're able to top it, because standard has
if you top in standard, you might as well go get a lottery and see if you win.
I mean, because variance impacts standard more than premium simply due to a lack of defensive options and triggers being your defensive options. So if you hit more triggers, you are both attacking better and defending better.
I'm just telling you one thing. If I end up accidentally winning Chicago, I'm going to go to the nearest 7-Eleven, go get a lottery, and then put all random numbers and see if I win.
Fair enough.
But I would say another thing why I feel like that people jump into standard more than premium at the moment is also the lack of support. So I think I guess this year still, right? Because we're still technically in 2024. The best thing that they've done is do what's the deck set?
No, the premium, the deck sets. Yeah.
And the year before, they did the premium collection, which was absolutely amazing.
Yes.
So I think if they can do something nice like that throughout the years, I think premium can definitely start picking up. Because I feel like that, at least from my point of view that I've seen, ever since they announced the deck set and people bought it in Japan, they actually did a premium tournament in Japan, which was actually surprising.
Two of them.
Huh?
They did 2.
Yeah, so I actually think that's crazy because people in Japan never cared about premium until the deck set. Even with the best.
Well, I think we have to add a little bit of context to that. So from what I understand, and both of you correct me if I'm wrong, but when Vanguard did the first reboot, correct me if I'm wrong, but did not almost all the Japanese shops just throw away the original inventory they had?
A lot of their inventory and stuff, yeah, and also they had no official tournaments held for premium, and that's been mostly the case until the end of last year and then this year, where Japan has had official premium tournaments.
Yeah,
where
and that's great.
So I mean, that's the biggest thing. Having official support for an event is the easiest way to make sure that your event is actually having players, or is making sure your format actually has players. If you look at a V side event now, you're getting 30 people, and even back then V was getting maybe 100 people on at the largest when it was an actively supported format. And so that's the big thing.
They gotta support it.
Yeah, no, even when it was actively supported, it wasn't getting that many people. And this year, premium's growth has proportionately to standard kind of met that same thing. We had over 300 people for premium at Philadelphia, and it was almost
that's crazy.
No, it was 326.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's nice.
Yeah, and that exactly accounts for because it was 400 something at New York last year. Philly this year it was what was it? Philly this year was almost 600 people, and it had surpassed the 500 as well.
I mean, standard's a different story, right?
Because but
I feel like the standard's been growing really hard this year because all the events that has been hosting, they all have, well, at least for the US, they all have been passing 500 plus players per event.
Not a single US, not actually surpassing 500. It's been surpassing 400 every event for standard.
400. Sorry, my number's wrong.
Yes. So standard has been consistently hitting 400, and premium has been consistently hitting 220 or more every single time. In fact, the two US events that did not have top 32 for premium were both like 10 people off from being top 32.
Oh wow, that
So
sucks. If
yeah,
10 more
like
people played, it would have been top 32.
Texas apparently was like 5 people off,
Oh
and
damn, that's unfortunate.
for Sacramento it was like 240 people, and you need to hit 257 in order to make it top 32. So because of that, it was like it's been like a huge deal in terms of how many people have been playing in both formats. Like, I mean, every top 32 event would have been 9 rounds of Swiss if it were a top 8 cut. So that, and it was 8 rounds at Philly so for standard, so it would have been 10 rounds of Swiss compared to last year in New York where it was 9 rounds of Swiss. So it's like consistently been like every event has been getting pretty much an extra round on top.
Well, I would say the growth in both formats, right? Do you think so? I have personally been I kind of personally dropped or came in during Divines more. Like I did play like throughout last year little by little, but that's only so like, I can just hang out with you guys and play a little bit. But from my experience, I feel like the Divines has really saved the format. Once I'm actually quoting off of what Mark said, but Divines has really saved Vanguard, is how I feel like, in both formats. But
Yes.
Bushiroad's been doing really well supporting premium as well. I think they can do slightly a little better on premium support, but honestly, from what I've been expecting from Bushiroad in general, this is them doing their best from my
Yes, I agree. I do think that like the better they could do it, like the only thing better I think they could do for premium is make those deck sets every year.
Yeah, honestly, they don't even
Like
have to
even
do the
twice a year.
boosters. I really just prefer them to do the deck sets.
I do think that a like actual set every year is like if they do like a deck set wave every year plus a set. And
Yeah,
that
that
set can
would
be
actually help the format a lot.
a mostly reprint set that provides main deck support is the big thing. Like premium collections
that'll
were
be good.
always G zone cards.
Yeah.
And so providing actual main deck support would make it so that you're actually able to, like, for example, put an archetype in. You can go, okay, this is an entire package, not in the Zarzan way, but in like a you can do it like make it a package, and it's like, oh, this is a deck's new like boss card. This is like, okay, you're actually gonna try and go into this guy, or like, oh, here's your new early game plays, things like that.
If they did like revival selection-esque, but without the heinous like anti-game store price point, I feel like that would be like a great thing every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, if they put standard reprints that are premium relevant cards, is a big thing as well.
Like the Dual Nations, they've been fantastic.
Exactly. And if they put in those Dual Nations in a premium reprint set, suddenly the supply, like, it would sell out at every store, and as long as they're like not reprinted into the ground, like oh, you get everything in a box kind of thing. Because I do think that was a bit of like the downfall of that set, of like revival selection. That would make it so that then suddenly people that bought it for the Dual Nations go, hey, I've got all these premium cards.
Might as well
what can I do with them?
Yeah. They can either play them, they can
sell them,
sell them,
or keep it in their box of storage that they never touch.
That's also true.
It's just making people more
think about the format.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're actually engaging with it in a way now. Either like just by owning cards, it will make them think about it in another way, and I think that would be really helpful for the game overall, because it would also bridge the gap between premium players and standard players as well.
So Chris has been pretty quiet. Do you have any? What's your opinion on premium versus standard? Like,
let's see. I've been playing more.
You play more
standard recently.
Yeah. But why is that? Why do you play more standard versus premium?
I don't know. I don't know, because as soon as they announced the top 32 energy markers, that was my motivation to try and do better at standard. Premium,
Yeah,
I feel like there's like not enough price support for me to
I
go
think
in.
I think that's like a lot of the mindset. Even like my group of friends, like I brought back, they all prefer standard. Not just because of the pricing, but as a newer player, standard is so much easier to play for them, right? Because as Peter knows, basically standard right now is kind of like old Vanguard, but with the ride line.
I'd say it's like Legion era.
Yeah, well,
in terms of complexity
Break Ride.
currently, I'd say it's a little above Break Ride era right now, which is I'd say like set 16, so like start of Legion era.
I think that like to kind of add on to, I think Peter might have mentioned this, but like I think another thing is that premium players specifically, and I think this is unique to premium players, the motivation for playing premium isn't gonna be a prize card. It's playing premium against better players or players that are on a higher skill level than you or like equal skill level, because you just want to get better at premium.
Yeah, it's like the
like so you can because like I can tell you for sure, like I don't know, I can't speak obviously for most people, but I can tell you that I know for a fact that Peter was going to try to qualify for premium whether or not the prize was a bag of potato chips or a promo pack. Like, and I think that for most, if you look at most of the people who have topped premium this season or have qualified in premium this season, like the prize support was not the motivating factor for
they just want to qualify.
Playing premium. They just want to play premium, and they just want to be better at premium than they were the game before they played. So like that's the other thing, and I don't think that I don't know if anyone had mentioned it, but I just want to make sure that we note that, because I think that's also like a big part of premium.
And I think that's where like Chris kind of brought up a good point about the prize card, because I feel like that a lot of the standard players, right? Like obviously, exception of the newer players, a lot of their motivation is for the prize, because the prizes are pretty good. Like they're appealing. Like the now marker you can sell for like easily 500 plus. The Masanori one, which is like the the not the good one, is still selling for like $250 to like $300. So that's pretty good money. I mean, for people that want to buy new decks, that's pretty good money. And not just that, but the participation prize that you get for standard or and premium, I guess, right? Like those cards are pretty good. Like they're average $15 to like $100 easy. If you get a now energy or a heal trigger, that's like 200.
Yeah,
that's pretty good money, right? It's like that's a huge motivation for a standard. But as Mark said, is premium is a little different. Like I feel like the players in our area that play premium, they play because they enjoy it. Is at least like from what I've observed.
Yeah, I think it's like a more intrinsic thing. Like compared to like standard, a lot of people like, oh, I like Chris just said, like, oh, I want the now marker.
Yeah, they want.
I want the prize card. That's a more extrinsic thing of like okay, I want this thing. Meanwhile, like premium players are like, if you're playing premium, you're probably not doing it for the money anyways. So you're probably just going for like, okay, I want a greater challenge.
Love of the game.
Yeah, it's literally doing it for the love of the game.
Also, Mark does love Vanguard.
Whoa.
Chill. Allegedly.
Sorry, this is an ongoing thing every week because he always mentions how much he doesn't like Vanguard.
Hey, listen. No. I've said that I love Vanguard more than probably most people. I just think that it more often than not, Bushiroad makes very poor decisions.
I agree.
That affect the player base in negative ways, and more so often than not, like just not ones that I personally agree with.
So about that, right? I'm gonna. It's a little off topic, but I'm gonna say one thing. Peter knows, but compared to what we had years ago before Overdress, this is fantastic support. This is fantastic what they're doing. They used to be horrible. They did not care about the players whatsoever before Overdress. Like it was so bad that I stopped going to BCSs to participate.
There used to be no prize card.
Yeah, I mean, I went to ARG Nationals because for me to go to BCS, it was not worth it. Because ARG Nats had better support. They cared about the players more. Best 2 out of 3. It was so much better, right? But what Bushiroad's doing right now is a lot than you think, and I actually think they're showing a lot more love than you think. So I'll put it at that. It used to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Peter knows.
Yeah, no, it was
Peter
way
definitely knows. Round 0, remember that?
I remember hearing about it. I remember I was a kid watching YouTube videos, hearing about Round
12.
0.
Yeah.
I never went to a BCS until 2022.
Anyways, so yeah, I feel like that if they support both formats and they support the pricing equally well, I feel like that premium will gain more popularity eventually. But I think standard is still going to be unfortunately the dominant format, just because there's a lot more factors for there's more things going for standard, from my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the one that's consistently getting support, and like I think that generally, right?
It's
unless you're like very specifically like a premium player, right? Like most of the time, people are like, "Oh, new standard format. Like, what new deck's coming out?" Like everyone wants to like hop on the new thing, and I think premium specifically, like you're not necessarily wanting to hop on the new thing, but you want to grab the new tools. So like with standard, it feels like standard. It feels like every new set, like there's a new toolbox, right? But with premium, there's not a new toolbox, but there might be like a new socket wrench. There might be a new, a new washer you want to use for your
new quality of life.
Yeah, just a little bit of pump up. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more creatine in your protein.
So I would say one thing,
Sphera.
I'm not going to mention names, but there was a new player that started relatively around this year, right? So he's a huge premium person. Like he would, not like standard, but eventually he was forced to play standard because no one else would play premium with him. So I would say it really also depends on the area that you're at. If you have a lot of premium players like us, you are very fortunate to be able to play premium. But there's some areas that do not have premium. Then unfortunately you're forced to play standard, right? Because no one else plays that format with you.
Yeah, I mean, I still make that person play standard because I don't want him to be happy.
Stop.
I do think it's funny though that the guy that really likes premium doesn't like standard that much has two tops in standard at the only events he's been at.
True.
They call him a Worlds player, so he is a Worlds player now.
Hey, he hasn't qualified for Worlds.
That's the joke, though. I say he's a Worlds player.
This is where we just go ahead and top in premium.
Chris, don't you ruin my life, bro. Don't you bring that juju in my life, bro. I'm an elite level hater. Don't bring that juju into my life, bro.
Remember, I'm the sponsor. I make sure people get the world.
Remember what I did for Peter and Rudy. I can do the opposite for you. Don't play with me.
Okay, so I think this is a very good stopping point and kind of go around and talk about like our final thoughts on premium versus standard. I'll go ahead and start with Chris. Go by Mark and then Peter last.
Sure.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? I was still laughing.
Your closing thoughts.
Your closing thoughts on premium versus standard, and I guess I'll finish off after Peter.
Personally, you should if you have fun with one format, have fun with it. Don't bring others down. That's about it.
What a solid, wonderful, like neutral wrap up, bro.
Yeah,
diplomatic.
I feel like we all have a very limited time on this wonderful planet. And if you're choosing to spend your money and your time on a hobby like Vanguard, I think you should do it the way you want to. I think that you should not let other people discourage you from playing whatever deck you want to play. Because at the end of the day, unless they're paying your bills, it ain't their thing to worry about. I feel like if you want to get better at premium, you have to bother your friends who are better than you consistently, make them play with you, because even if they don't want to, that's a lie, because everyone who plays premium always wants to play more premium. So they're never going to say no unless obviously like other life obligations. But yeah, I mean, play whatever you want. You know, even if your clan is the worst clan in the history of mankind, like me, you know, just keep playing because you feel like it. And if you don't feel like it, don't play. Because if you don't want to play, playing more is not going to help you out at all. Like playing more when you don't want to play is going to make it worse. So yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like that was beautifully said. I say, go to your local store, ask if they have the premium deck sets, pick one up. Like it's like depending on where you go, it's like $50 to $60 something depending on where you go.
That's actually a really good deal, by the way.
Yeah, like the reprints you get. First up, if you play standard, it has Sanctitude in it, so automatically can't go wrong with getting another Sanctitude. But it's a fun little experience right out of the box. Like you're not trolling by taking it to a locals. Like
Yeah,
it's just worth having your hands on it. And like at worst, it's like you spent some money. Most of the stuff in that, anyways, you will probably be able to sell off regardless. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the stride in each of them is like $20 minimum. Like the good one, the harmonics is like 10, and then the sanctitude you're keeping that probably. So
Yeah, absolutely.
like at worst, you just sell off the expensive cards and you got another sanctitude. And at best, you found an enjoyment for something that you didn't know you might not have known you would like. So
absolutely.
And also, if you end up liking it more, VG Paradox is a fantastic place to be able to like see different decks. You can check out like a bunch of stuff because Premium has an absurd amount of decks. Like an absurd amount of decks that you can like do unique things with in each of them.
Yeah. I think that something that I forgot to bring up, but when I first started playing Premium, obviously this website has been like not updated since 2022. So like most of the decks are like moot and not important, but Zero Damage Gaming at one point, Solomon Vanguard had made a kind of premium kind of deck compendium thing where like they're not the best decks, but there are some decks on there that are like still kind of relevant to today, and like it just is a way to just get ideas is the point, because all really Premium is just like, what do you like to play? Cool, figure out what clan plays that kind of thing. Like, do you like playing clan tokens? All right, cool, I guess you're playing Neo Nectar, right? Like use every resource you can. Like if you like a clan, like I 10/10 recommend just going on the Cardfight wiki and just scrolling through every card in that clan and just seeing which one you're like, yeah, I like that. It looks cool to me. I want to build a deck around that. Because
or just open deck log.
Yeah. And then just start doing a deck log. You can or you can open deck log for that. I find deck log to be kind of because then you like the first like 40 like pages are gonna be standard cards. But like for like looking through premium decks specifically, I think that like go on the Cardfight wiki, like look through a bunch of the cards and see what one you want to build a deck around. Because at the end of the day, right, most people who play Vanguard aren't playing competitively. You're just playing for fun. So, you know, find what deck you like, enjoy playing it, and you know, you're gonna have friends. You're gonna make friends with this game whether you like it or not. So you're gonna have, you know what I mean. So
whoa, what do you mean? You have a fantastic friend that gets you free cards.
Yeah, you do too. I don't want. This is a symbiotic relationship, my guy. This ain't no parasitic relationship. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Peter. But I wanted to note that as well.
Oh yeah, no. Like another thing though, like if your locals has like a bulk box, you can technically make premium decks out of bulk boxes.
Actually, this is very true.
Yeah.
Like the store I work at has bulk boxes, and there's some kids there that are like I think like either late high school or early college, and they've built decks purely out of that. I got some people from our community to like provide some like some boosters to it to make it a little bit better. So now it's like, okay, now they have strides, now they have stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm just making it so that they're just able to enjoy the game more, because they had literally $5 decks because every card in those boxes is 10 cents a piece and they got 50 of them. And
actually, add on to that real quick. So Peter knows, but we have a new community over at Sterling's locals. Boba Hero. So all their players all started during Divines, and now they're all picking up Premium. So it was so easy for them to pick up a decent premium deck. Like I think all 4 or 5 of them in our group just build a premium deck saying that, oh, this is actually not bad to play, and we need something to play on day 2. So I think this is a very good motivation for people that go to regionals is, hey, take a premium deck, whatever you have. It doesn't matter if it's a simple one that you build off of bulk, whatever. Just play maybe a few rounds, and if you don't do well, I mean, it's okay. You got a free pack out of it, right? So
and not just that, standard side event.
Yeah, and there's a standard side event you can hop onto. So it's another way for you to say, oh well, I'll give this format a try, and worst case is I can drop off and play the standard event that I like. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Let me. I guess I can wrap off too.
Yeah.
I would say, play the format that you like, but I would say standard is a good entry point, and then if you do like the game, a lot more than you think, I think premium is a good way to expand the love of the game, because premium is a whole new. It's a whole new eye opener, is my opinion. So it's very different. You can't just jump into this format. I agree. But once you start learning your deck and understand matchups and mechanics and such, it's very fun to play. Like, I got rid of Ghidorah for the money, of course, but I also re-picked up Aquaforce deck that was like maybe 1/3 of the stuff I sold for. And me and my buddy Chris over there, we spent like 4 hours playing premium, and I didn't even know it was like 4 hours. It was actually just that fun, and I think Chris smashed me for like the first few games with his Shiranui deck, and then I got him back when he was playing Grand Blues with Aquaforce. So I mean, like I said, there's good matchups and bad matchups for every deck, and I just really felt fun even though I was losing every single game against Shiranui. So it's I think if you really like the game, premium is something that you guys can consider, is my opinion. That's it. So we usually do shoutouts. So Mark knows how to do it. So I'll start with Mark, Chris, and then Peter, and then I'll do my shoutouts last.
Oh, I gotta start? That's crazy.
I know, because the other people are not here today.
Shout out to we didn't really touch on it as much as I would have liked to, but it's fine. Shout out to my buddy Rudy. Got third place in Philly. The best spikes player on the planet. Since Living Proof is retired.
Fair.
Shout out to well, I can't really shout Peter out because he's here, but he got second. Shout out to Randall as well.
Randall 19th place, Shiranui.
Yeah. Also, more importantly, shout out to me because I prophesized it. You're all welcome. Shout out to our locals, Curio Caverns, obviously, as always. Shout out to everyone at our locals. I think, Peter, what's that number again? I think, 12 people from our locals? We had 12 tops from our locals this year?
Let's see. This year it was, me, Christian Star, Becca, Rudy, Shrivan. Randall, Jason, Shrivan. I think there was one more. I know there's
Shrivan got 2.
So eight people. 8 different people.
8 people from our locals. 7 people from our locals. 7 people from our locals getting tops.
Okay.
In one season is crazy.
We have a lot of strong players.
I am so proud of all 7 people from our locals that have topped this season. That it's so impressive. No, especially Rudy. What?
Also, 3 of those 8 people qualified for Worlds.
Yeah, actually, yes. 3 of the 8.
Yeah, 3 of the homies are qualified for Worlds. That makes me so happy. Now I have an excuse to go see wrestling in Japan. But that's my shout outs as always. And of course, absolutely, shout out to the greatest restaurant known to mankind, Waffle House.
Ew.
Thank you. And shout out to Philly for being the best BCS location. Not even close.
Fact.
Not even close. No other BCS location will ever top it.
Hey, the Rosemont venue has some fantastic
Rosemont
stuff
venue is great, but
I'm looking forward to it.
It doesn't touch Philly, bro. It just doesn't. Philly is just on another level. Oh yeah, those are my shout outs though.
All right, Chris.
Well, Mark took all the shout outs, but I'll give a shout out to I guess to Boba here because actually two of their players almost topped at the event as well.
So unfortunate. So unfortunate.
We don't talk about the last 3 rounds, but hey, they tried.
Chase was undefeated in the first.
I know. I was so mad
first
at
5
Chase.
rounds, which was crazy.
And then lost the last 3. I was like,
And Chase was playing Levy Dress.
Yeah, before
Levy Dress.
Before Levy Dress Imperio.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That man is cracked.
he is the CEO.
And
I guess that's my shout out. Yeah, just Boba Hero.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, first up, I wanna shout out Becca, my girlfriend. She's in the other room right now watching TV. I think either that or playing a video game. Unsure because I have my headphones on. But then shout out to Christian because Mark already shouted out Rudy. Shout out to Star for topping. And qualifying for Worlds. Shout out to Shervan for making top 4 and top 32 at 2 different events. Shout out to Randall. We already shouted it out. Screw it. Shout out to Rudy again. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Then shout out to Jason getting his first top.
Yep,
that was
Jason.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Let's see
immediately
here.
Now marker.
Yeah. Shout out to Frankie, the team leader, Mr. Naru Samurai himself. I spell it.
Speaking of buy splits from NaruSamuraiGaming.com. Use code BlackbeardMark. Save 5%.
Or code Eclipse.
No, use code BlackbeardMark, bro.
Okay.
Please.
Well,
I just got my code.
True. Oh yeah, shout out to Team Eclipse in general.
Yes, sir.
Run by Frankie. So the boys, Anderson, Colin, even the people that aren't in it but are just sort of around it, like Elijah, that guy,
man. Like
super chill. Let's see. Shout out to some of the homies that haven't yet topped this season, but I would not be surprised if they do. Zach, would love to see him top. He would stare his opponent to death.
He truly would stare his opponent to death, bro.
Let's see. Shout out to Kevin. Can't forget Kevin.
Oh, true. Even though he's not going to go to a BCS this season.
I wish he would because Geese is doing so well this season.
No,
I would like.
Listen, Kevin Rivas is my personal perspective one of the best players I've seen.
Yeah,
so it's so unfortunate. Yeah,
that man truly is the definition of is like. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget it, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, truly, bro. Truly he is, bro. Also, don't forget Yafet, Peter. You might not be able to see him right now, but shout out.
I was about to get to Yafet, bro. Come on.
Okay, my bad. I forgot.
Shout out to Yafet. He's actually going to Tampa, so I would not be surprised if he tops, especially because he's been on that grind. So he's actually been doing, like, in terms of testing, he's actually positive against me in testing. So
hey, bro, you can't turn his lights out, bro. You can't turn his lights
out. And then I mean, shout out to Darius and Tommy, the boys.
Yes, sir. Tommy and Darius. Yes, sir.
From Superstar, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of people from Superstar, shout out to Superstar as well because we already shouted out Curio and Boba Hero. So fantastic store. Shout out to their owner Justin. Justin, like super chill. Yep. David and I and Chris have known him for years. Mark, I assume you've also known him for years.
I've known him for quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually the first game store I had gone back to that did locals before I went to Curios for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Like shout out to Superstar for being like they're the only store in the area that does an actual day dedicated to premium and nothing else. Lots of chill guys there. Just people in general there are really nice.
I have good experience every time I go there.
They have good single selection for various games. And I mean, they're owned by someone who we've known for years. So like he's known me since I was a child. He's known David since he was how old I am now.
Early 20s, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not early 20s anymore. I'm mid 20s. I'm 24.
Oof. He's an old man.
Yeah. But let's see. Shout out to Gritty Goblin Games. That's another store in the area that I unfortunately never really get to go to because if I'm free on a Saturday early afternoon,
we're going to
probably I'm probably either going to Yu-Gi-Oh locals or I'm going to staying home for a bit, making sure the kid does not throw herself off of like the couch and land head first or something. Because I mean that's how toddlers are. That's how toddlers are. You know, they kind of are just on a mission to just like get themselves hurt as effectively as possible.
Let my homie Wayne Chun live, bro. Yeah, man.
I think that. Oh, also shout out to my longtime friend Will. He doesn't play Vanguard anymore.
Yeah, I know Will.
But he was always someone that was like just a little bit better than me at the game, and so I would like. So he was a huge part of like my enjoyment of the game growing up.
Yeah, I miss Will. I haven't seen him in years too. So.
But yeah, that's all my shoutouts.
Well, since all you guys took all of the ones I wanted to do, I'll have to switch a little bit. Shoutouts to my buddy Domino Paris 21. He has posted his own videos, so I'll send a link down below. He is not here today because he had stuff to do, but he also said, I do not know any premium at the moment, so this is not for me. So I was like, okay, nah, I understand. So, shout outs to him. Shout outs to Simon. He's not here today as well. Because it is a Friday, it's an off schedule for him. But Simon has been a huge support to my podcast. Shout outs to Mark, because Mark has helped me for this podcast to start off. Him and Simon actually have been the main writers of this podcast, from my opinion. So I appreciate you guys helping me out. Let's see. Yeah, so shout outs to all the locals around our area, and the players that topped, and the players that didn't top, and the players that are participating. And lastly, I guess not really an announcement, but me and Chris and then Domino are actually going to Chicago, Rosemont. So we will see you guys there. So make sure you guys say hi to us. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. For any other topics that you guys want us to cover or any guests, please send a comment down below and we will get them ready for you. But thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.